Good morning, everyone. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones, the Veg Vixen, and you are listening to AnnamariaIslandRadio.com, 1700 AM on your radio dial. And if you have any questions about a vegan lifestyle, a vegetarian lifestyle, whatever that means, eating, living it, whatever, give us a call here at 941-524-5207, or I will try and check my email and see if you want to email me a question if you're feeling a little bashful about talking on the radio. My email is ejones@vegcoach.com or vegcoach.com if you didn't get all that. And that's where you can find me. That's where I live. And I am, what qualifies me to talk about all this? I am the author of Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, as well as Kitchen Divided Vegan Dishes for Semi-Vegan Households. And just into pre-sales, Paleo Vegan. Yeah, why not? Who said that paleo has to be all meat? So that will actually come out sometime early April. And I'm also a certified personal trainer as well as a certified running coach through the Roadrunners Club of America. The personal training certification is through the Aerobics and Fitness Association of America. So that gives me a little bit of expertise, but really what gives me some expertise is that this past weekend I just placed in my 64th 5K race for my age group at the Lakewood Ranch YMCA. Yeah, why not? I believe I was the oldest or second oldest female at the race. Yes, 61 and loving it. And that was just a week after finishing the Celebration Marathon. And the weekend before that, I also placed first in my age group at the 5K race, another YMCA for Manatee County up at the Manatee County Fairgrounds. So 3 weekends in a row racing. It kind of violates my, you should give yourself a rest, especially after a marathon. But, that vegan diet, that's the only problem. You kind of feel like you're invincible and you just do all this nutty stuff just because you can. Well, there are a number of topics on the vegan plate today. So if you have some burning issue about how to eat a vegan diet, why to eat a vegan diet, please feel free to give us a call, 941-524-5207. This week, I was lucky enough to be interviewed by the MiamiNews.com, which is actually, as they explained it to me, now a division or subsidiary of the Village Voice out of New York City. And so that was posted all over, and as a result, Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, which came out 3.5 years ago, just skyrocketed again in the Amazon ratings, which is how I kind of judge how my books are doing. But she interviewed me about my 10 favorite tips on how to eat vegan on a budget and to kind of blow up the myth, as we always try to do, that eating vegan has to cost a lot of money. It just doesn't. So all these top 10 tips are in my book, of course, but I'll share a few with you. Or you can check out the blog that's on my Facebook page, Eat Vegan on $4 a Day. So shop the perimeter of the store. That's where the fresh produce lies. That's where the best bargains are, except the only exception is the bulk items like beans and grains, and especially the best prices tend to be on the lower shelves. And the marketers, the manufacturers, the food producers are paying big bucks for you to look at food at eye level on the grocery shelves. So take your eyes off of eye level, look up, look down, all around, and look for the off brands, the store brands, not the manufacturer's brands. Most often, not 100% of the time, but most often those prices are going to be cheaper. And then, of course, the big thing is buy in bulk. I just made a big batch of Aduki beans in my pressure cooker this week. And
what's an Aduki bean?
Oh, Aduki beans are fabulous. They're these little tiny beans, bigger than a lentil. So think lentil, a little bit bigger, but not much. Think about the color of a black bean, but a little more maroon in color. It's rich. The darker a bean is in color, the more iron it's going to have. So, we all need to make sure we're getting our iron stores. And for vegans, obviously, beans are a great way to do that. But Adukis became very popularized in macrobiotic diets, and macrobiotic diet, which was actually the way I first started going vegan, eventually, although a macrobiotic diet includes often fish, But that came out of the Asian culture and was widely touted as a way of preventing, surviving cancer, and very popular in Asian cultures. But pretty much a vegan diet, except for the inclusion of fish sometimes. And again, there are so many different gurus out there who say one way is better than another, but eventually I did drop the fish and morphed into eating a vegan diet, which is nothing with a mama, nothing with a face, no meat, no cheese, no dairy. We always have to kind of clarify that because sometimes I am reminded that people don't often know what the definition of a vegan diet is. So those are just a few tips from my book, Eat Vegan on $4 a Day. Now, speaking of books, because I have a blog at vegcoach.com and I'm doing all this wild and crazy stuff, including, by the way, before I forget, mine's going in a million different directions, but I just want to make sure that I let you know that my cooking classes are starting this Thursday, every Thursday in February at the Anna Maria Island Community Center. I'm told some people are driving across state to do these classes, and it's very exciting. I used to teach classes all the time here on Anna Maria Island, and then when my books took off and I took off on book tour, I just didn't have time to do it. But I have this window of time, kind of the last hurrah before the weather improves, and then all the Veg Fests and the different events that I speak at around the country kick into full gear as the spring happens, the weather improves, and speakers can actually arrive by plane without having to worry about the weather. And of course, attendees come to these events too when the weather improves. So my first one will be actually the 1st of March, the New York City Veg Fest. This will be my 3rd year in a row back there. Very cool. So glad that they are having me. Again, speaking about Eat Vegan on $4 a Day and Kitchen Divided. But the cooking classes will include recipes from both of my books all Thursdays in February, 4 Thursdays, starting at noon. I will make you lunch. I will show you how to cook these things, and I will give you the recipes. And just a little payback to this incredible community here, and especially the Anna Maria Island Community Center. If you live here, if you travel here, be sure to check them out. They just have a plethora of classes and an incredible facility out at the northern end of Anna Maria Island. You can go work out. They have a little gym. I haven't actually been back there in a couple of years, so I'm looking forward to seeing all that's going on there, because it really is a way of keeping people involved. You know, it's so common for people as they retire and as they age to kind of crawl into a shell and just not really interact with the world, you know. But this community center will make you dry you out of your shell if you happen to be in one, and there are just so many great activities. My cooking classes aside, so you have to register at the community center or call them, give them a call. You can find them, Google them, Anna Maria Island Community Center, to find out more about that. But speaking about books, since I do this, you know, people send me books all the time, and these are just two I'm going to feature and talk about. And this one is Dave Loves Chickens. It's a child's book. We'll get into that in just a minute. But the one I really want to talk about is Never Too Late to Go Vegan. And this book is done by 3 of my most favorite vegan authors in the world: Carol Adams, Patty Brightman, and Ginny Messina, who is a registered dietitian. She also has her master's in public health. So she's been around a long time. She's written a lot of books. Well, these other 2 have as well. And interestingly enough, Patty Brightman, I just love Patty. She was the agent who tried for an entire year to get my book to be picked up by the big boys, the big publishers, Eat Vegan on $4 a Day. At the time, it was titled Eat Well on $3 a day, so that tells you how long I was working on it. And she wanted it, as did I, to be a backdoor vegan book, like some of the New York Times bestsellers were at the time, like Skinny Bitch and Quantum Wellness. But because I was an unknown, and at the time she told me all the publishers care about is how many friends you have on Facebook and how many tweets a day you tweet. So I took that no to heart and learned all I could about social media, and now my Eat Vegan on $4 a Day Facebook page has 30,000 followers. And I don't know what Facebook is doing, or some social media experts say you reach this catapulting moment where all of a sudden your page just starts. It's like a big stone rolling down a mountain and gathering lots of moss on the way down. So anyway, you can check me out there. But this book is just great. It says the Over 50 Guide to Adopting and Thriving on a Plant-Based Diet. And Dr. Neil Barnard, who just, his most recent book is Power Foods for the Brain, and he wrote the foreword to both of my books. This in-depth guide will inspire you to make the change and will hold your hand every step of the way. So, as you would expect in any Ginny Messina book, she's the registered dietitian, lots of charts and wonderful graphs and explanations of how you should do this easily and quickly. Let's just look on one page, healthy plant foods, the best of the best. Now, people are always asking, where do you get your protein? How do you eat a balanced diet? And so she has all these great categories. Rich in protein for strong muscles and bones. So under that, she has all types of dried beans, peas, and lentils, tofu, tempeh, edamame, soy milk, seitan. What is that? That is wheat gluten, if you can tolerate wheat. Oops, and that was just my phone dropping on the floor. Just too many things on my lap here. But seitan is a great meat replacement, and I cook it in a recipe where it looks like beef stroganoff, and it's really delicious. So many people are just, if they need the transition foods, wheat gluten is. And Robert here just got down on the floor, crawling all around, picking up my phone. Thank you very much, Robert, in case you heard me giggle there. That's what that was going on. We do fun things on the radio. You just have to use your imagination. Okay, sweet potato is also a great form of protein. Who knew? Quinoa, one of my favorite forms of protein. Quinoa is a grain, or technically it's a seed, and it has more protein in it than any other grain/seed out there. So get some of that. All right, another category, providing calcium for healthy bones. What else is in that category besides tofu, tempeh, edamame, and soy milk? Spinach, corn, Swiss chard, beet greens. Yeah, how cool is that? Also, that category is, I'll take that group of vegetables, high in potassium to keep blood pressure low and protect bone health. And heart health as well. And we can't also forget in the protein category, peanuts and peanut butter. All right, another fun category, packed with phytochemicals that reduce your risk for cancer. Tofu, tempeh, edamame, soy milk, especially cooked tomato products for prostate cancer, and raw broccoli and cabbage, very good for the phytochemical cancer prevention category. And we can't forget kale, collard greens, turnips, turnip greens, and bok choy. Yum, yum. All right, you got a question out of this book, out of my mouth, my brain, 941-524-5207. Operators are standing by to take your question about what is it like to be on a vegan diet and how do you do it? All right, so some other categories, because I just love how this book, Never Too Late to Go Vegan, blows up so many of the myths that I hear all the time. In fact, speaking of that, I'm always trying to broaden my horizon and see what the other side, there are many sides to what is a healthy diet for us to eat, but I went to a local running store, and they're just trying to get people into the store, and informative topics that people, runners in particular, would be interested in. And this one I went to last week was on ultra running, which means the definition of ultra running is anything longer than a marathon, 26.2 miles. So some of these guys have been doing 100-mile marathons forever. And they're actually employed, two of them are employees of this one running store. And sure enough, they just start trashing a vegan diet. Now keep in mind, the MC to these guys said, oh, we have a vegan author in our midst. and the guys go, well, we don't want to debate that. And it's like, okay, I know I need to keep my mouth shut. But they said, well, you just don't get enough protein. To which I always say, do you know anybody who's diagnosed with a protein deficiency? Anybody in this culture. It's very rare, especially on a vegan diet. You get plenty of it. And so I mentioned to them, do you know, you guys run with Scott Jurek, who he's a spokesman for the Brooks Running Company. They make running shoes and clothing. And and these guys say, yeah, oh, he beat us in a lot of these ultra marathons. And I said, well, what do you think of his vegan diet? And the best one of them could say was, oh, he's so weird. And somebody else who was a running coach who was attending this workshop, yeah, I met him. He's weird. Well, you know what? Scott Jurek got to speak at Get Healthy Marshall, which is this huge event in Texas, just a couple of months ago. And I mentioned this to my publisher who was at this event. He said, Scott Jurek is not weird. He's amazing. And I think sometimes people, when it was said at this workshop, Scott was weird, I said, well, what do you think of his nutrition plan? Are you familiar with it at all? And of course, they couldn't answer that. So that is why, that just gives you an idea of what runners, vegan runners like myself, are up against, not only at races, but just trying to combat this kind of myth, the many myths that are out there. So speaking of blowing up vegan myths, let's look at another category. Okay, here's another one, because these guys were just, you shouldn't eat carbs unless, it's the night before a race. It's like, really? And, getting into this whole, if you run too much, your muscles are going to be cannibalized if you don't get enough protein. Get enough protein on a plant-based diet. And I said to them, look at veganbodybuilding.com. Look at that website. Those guys are amazing. So another category here, source of slow carbs to keep blood glucose levels healthy. Sweet potatoes, quinoa, barley, oats, pasta, and bananas. Yeah, I live on bananas. So that is my fast food of choice, and I highly encourage you all to check it out and check out a healthy vegan diet. And some other categories here: provide good fats for a healthy heart, and this would include flax seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and canola oil. Now, many people as we age are deficient in the omega-3 fats, and especially if you eat a lot of junk food, your ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fats is going to be out of whack. So as a result, more people in the U.S. are way heavy on the omega-6s because the fats, the trans fats especially, are packed in the chips and the snacks that many of us buy at the store. So important to understand that you don't have to eat fish to get omega-3s, that it's in all of those foods that I just mentioned, the seeds and some of the oils. So just check that out. All right, let's zap over to another page. And this is, I'm reading from the book Never Too Late to Go Vegan by Carol Adams, Patty Brightman, and Jimmy Messina, who is a very long-term, reputable, well-versed registered dietitian. This book has a lot of testimonials. I gave them mine about not needing a hysterectomy at the age of 52 when we moved down here. And I had gone off a vegan diet for a while I was a financial consultant at Smith Barney and had no control over the food that I ate for lunch and dinner because we were working there all the time, and they brought in pizza, and we ate meals that were pre-ordered for us. So not a lot of chance to control the diet there, and my weight ballooned up, and found myself needing a hysterectomy, which I reversed when my OB said, go back to that vegan diet and call me in the morning. 3 weeks later, all signs of menopause, including the fibroids, were reduced in size. So, looking for some more interesting pages here. That there are also some recipes, a chapter on veganism and caregiving. And in fact, I'm going to go to the table of contents just to whet your appetite here. Why now? Positive Aging the Vegan Way. That was the first chapter. How to go vegan, your next major life decision. Why vegan? Veganism is a simple and effective response to a series of complex contemporary issues. Now that chapter, of course, deals with the diseases of affluence. Robert and I, who is at the other side of the microphone here and also owns this lovely radio operation, we were chatting before we went on the air. I'm sure many of you know, or maybe you don't care, the Super Bowl was on this weekend, and one of the many things I used to do, travel up with people, a wonderful musical organization. Their whole message is music is the international language, and they had kids from all countries of the world, and the idea is if we find our commonness, we have more in common as human beings than we do different, although to look at the world today, you would not really want to believe that based on so many skirmishes and fights and wars and all that. But anyway, I've been pretty active in our alumni association. They asked me to come speak at their national convention the next 2 summers actually. And I keep thinking, well, like, what do I say? I want to convey my message, but I also understand in a Super Bowl mentality. And I looked at some of the pictures that were up on Facebook from, not only the alumni, but just everything that's out there, what's being promoted, the fast foods, the processed foods, the fried foods, the wings. Oh my goodness. All of the networks, I think, before the Super Bowl did a whole thing on how wings were formed. Chicken wings, and it's like, this stuff is so unhealthy. Chicken wings have more fat than any other part of the chicken. If you even wanted to eat it, and of course do the research and find out what kinds of hormones and conditions those poor animals have to suffer through in their life to get on your plate. And it's just, I think awareness is increasing with the conditions, especially of caged chickens, and how ungodly and unsanitary that is. So anyway, I struggle with, how do I balance this message? I'm pretty good at jumping outside the vegan box, and a lot of times it's very comfortable for vegans just to stay in their own little community and preach to the choir. But we understand, as this chapter description goes into all the diseases that can really be reversed, alleviated, and mainly prevented by going on a vegan diet. And so I hope you'll check out that part of the book. And then Part 2 goes into nutrition for the 50-plus diet, 50-plus body. How and why we age is included in this section. A healthy diet for 50-plus vegans. Vegan diets for lifelong health. In Part 3, eats well with others. Sounds like my kindergarten report card. Chapter 7, relationship dynamics, family and friends and veganism. Chapter 8, vegan in the world. And Chapter 9, veganism and caregiving. Chapter 10, how to veganize, basic substitutions. So if you have comfort foods, that whole chapter deals on things like I was mentioning earlier, seitan, tofu, and its many forms that it's taken. It's not just in the square little package or anything like that. So there are lots of different ways you can veganize your diet, and it's much easier these days to do that. And my book, Kitchen Divided, does a lot of that too. The recipes there are made for those living in mixed marriages and people who maybe just get tired of being a short order cook. And so if you live with somebody who isn't vegan, the recipes in there are designed to be very flexible so people can throw in whatever they want, their meat, their fish, whatever. And you don't have to be the short order cook. And then the final chapter in Never Too Late to Go Vegan is recipes for everyday and festive eating, which I tried to do that growing up as I started morphing this way, and I was the designated salad bringer. But I would imagine that there are some good recipes you could find in there. And this one, Dave Loves Chickens, written and illustrated by Carlos Patino. And this is a lovely child's book. I wish I had books like these when my kids were small. And it's really nice to see these kinds of books coming out. And I'll just read you a little bit from this. And the book jacket is falling off, so we'll get rid of that. He comes from a planet far, far away. And this is a very short book, so I think we'll probably read the whole thing in about 5 minutes or less. It's hard to say his monster name, so we just call him Dave. With a heart of gold and a tooth that's old, Dave is a very smart monster. He won't pollute and is resolute. I have to explain that word to you, kindergartner. When it comes to his meatless diet, for Dave would never eat an animal and doesn't get why people from Earth eat certain animals and call it meat. Chickens, for example, they are not for us to sample. They enjoy a dust bath while you're doing some math. Some can even lay colored eggs while resting on their skinny legs. They eat seeds and fruits and grains to feed their growing chicken brains. And chickens deserve to live from 5 to 11 years. a lifespan as long as a white-tailed deer's. Chickens can travel up to 9 miles per hour. Wow, that's faster than I can run. While smiling about their speed and power. They are living relatives of the Tyrannosaurus rex. I did not know. And will proudly show their muscles flex. It's obvious that chickens are grand, so why is eating them not banned? Dave loves animals as much as we, and all living things have a right to be free. As you and I and Dave will agree, chickens are great and they don't belong on our plate. Okay, so that is the book, Dave Loves Chickens. And just one of a few that are now coming out and trying to help parents who are trying to raise their kids in a more humane and healthy lifestyle by incorporating a vegan diet into a healthy vegan diet into their lifestyle. So we're just about finished here, but if you have a quick question, 941-524-5207. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones, the Veg Vixen here on Anna Maria Island Radio. And I know it has been really foggy here if you are listening locally. I was at Robinson Preserve this weekend, and I would encourage you to get out there in this fog. What is happening with the dew clinging to spider webs is something that's probably a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. And I actually took pictures and posted some of this on my Facebook, my individual and my Eat Vegan Facebook pages. So you may just want to check some of that out because it's really, you know, some of the tourists may be cranky that the sun isn't out. They pay big money to come here, of course, and it's a little challenging to try and understand that nature is kind of playing out in various ways. Now, what causes fog? Warm air over cold water or ground. So why is the air so warm? This time of year, it shouldn't be in Florida. It really shouldn't be. And I'll just leave it to you to figure out why we are dealing with these various issues. So at this point, I am checking out my vegan Google alerts. Oh, get your tickets to the New York City Veg Fest. Wow, that's already showing up because I'll be a speaker there. That's one of the vegan alerts. And yeah, in case you've never been to a Veg Fest, they're really great. They have all these free food samples that you can taste. And some of it's processed food, some of it isn't, but they also have very interesting speakers. And, you know, they do, my publisher pays for me and other authors to go to these events, so it's really quite fun to be able to participate in that. And here's another headline: a well-planned vegan diet can be quite healthy. Surprise, surprise, yes, from the Orlando Sun Sentinel. You've probably heard that eating more vegetables and less meat is healthy. Maybe you've been feeling inspired to try eating a vegan diet, which excludes anybody to find that. It can be a healthy way to eat when your meals are full of vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains. And so you can check out the OrlandoSunSentinel.com to get more of that story. Now, I got to tell you, this week I splurged a little bit, and I entered a half marathon that's coming up, as well as a couple of other races. So, you know, I'm telling my husband, oh, I'm going to be eating just only beans and grains now to save money, for making up for the money that I spent on the races. So eating vegan is a healthy and cheap way to have a very, very incredible lifestyle that makes you feel good, that you can do races and be around for your kids and the grandkids if you're lucky enough to have them. So if you want more tips on the vegan lifestyle, feel free to find me at vegcoach.com and on Facebook, Eat Vegan on $4 a day, as well as my Ellen Jaffe Jones individual and author page. And if you have any questions that come up during the week, you can always track me down at vegcoach.com and check out Paleo Vegan for those friends of yours who are into paleo but think they can't do it a vegan version way. You definitely can. And if you're lucky enough to be on Anna Maria Island here, about an hour away from Tampa, half hour north of Sarasota, Longboat Key, check out my cooking classes that will be happening all Thursdays in February at the Anna Maria Island Community Center, as well as their incredible programs. Oh, I forgot to mention too, Fresh Market. donated all the food for the cooking classes. Incredible, because if they hadn't, I probably would have gone into debt paying for the food for these classes, because we tried to keep the cost of the classes very low, and of course part of it goes to the community center, which it should, since they're paying for the electricity and all that fun stuff. So hope you're enjoying the weather wherever you are. Get out, do some exercise, and enjoy nature. If you call yourself an environmentalist, you got to get out there and touch it and feel it and experience it. So I hope you have a great week and enjoy whatever it is you will be doing. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones, the Veg Vixen on AnnaMariaIslandRadio.com. Gotta run.
That was Ellen Jaffe Jones, the Veg Vixen. You're listening to Anna Maria Island Radio, AnnaMariaIslandRadio.com.